Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. What a week last week was. I kind of knew it was going to be a tricky week, and I mentioned it in last week's podcast that I had 2 medical procedures that needed to be done, and neither of them went especially smoothly. I mean, in hindsight, it's all okay. I'm better, but both of them really pretty much wrecked me for the week. And I'll talk more about those at the end of the podcast. I will save the cystoscopy story for next week because then we'll be into November, which is Men's Health Month or Men's Health Awareness Month or something like that, and thus more applicable then. I want to start this podcast, though, throwing out a big thank you to so many of you and your incredibly kind and warm comments last week. I had mentioned that I periodically get comments from people that say they're not interested in what's going on in my life. All they want to hear about is keto news or health news, and they don't want to hear family stories or YouTube stories or what's going on with the channel. And, that's really what this podcast is. This is a different thing than my reviews and a different thing from recipes. It's sort of me and all of you getting to know one another. And I got such kind words from so many of you saying that these podcasts feel like you're just sitting across the table having a conversation with a friend. And that is exactly how I want it to feel. Now, to me, I'm looking at a camera right now, but once I start going in the podcast, I don't feel like I'm looking at a camera. I feel like I'm looking at you. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I cease to see a camera in front of me, and it's almost, I don't know, like a window or something. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just sort of the way I feel. And then, you communicate back to me through the comments, which is why I love doing like little Q&A things. I'll ask you something, or I'll share a particular experience, and then I'll ask you like, hey, what's your experience? In fact, maybe we'll do one of those in this video a little bit later. But since a number of you have said that you do enjoy the family stories, I'm going to start off with one of those. And this week, it's Colton's turn. Now, I wasn't here for this particular event. It was relayed to me from my wife, Terry. But Terry took Colton. I always got to think now with all the names: Connor, Colton, Calvin, Courtney. So Terry took Colton to a roller rink on, I think it was Wednesday. And apparently Colton is quite the ladies' man at the roller rink. So girls were holding his hand, or he was holding girls' hands. I think it started with him. There was a girl that was having trouble roller skating, and he took her hand and sort of like guided her and helped her with roller skating. And I guess gradually that attracted some more girls that wanted to hold his hand. And then he went into the arcade, one of these ones where you can earn tickets by doing skee ball or whack-a-mole or any of these different games, the claw game. And he was racking up a lot of tickets. He was hitting, I guess, on one of the ones where you pound something, he hit the sweet spot where you get the maximum tickets, and tickets are spitting out. And again, I guess some of the girls were kind of surrounding him like groupies or something. And he gave half of his tickets away to the girls. So quite the little ladies' man already at 6 years old. Next up, a little bit of a story about Unbelievabuns. I know a number of you are fans of Unbelievabuns, some not so much, and I know those of you on the West Coast are kind of disappointed that you can't get Unbelievabuns shipped out to the West Coast for free. Very expensive because of the 2-day shipping. So for those of you who don't get the Unbelievabuns newsletter, so if you're a customer, you probably do, unless you unsubscribed, but that comes out once a week. And last week, the newsletter that Jared sent out described some of the issues that they've been having. And it reminds me, this is why I support small businesses. It is so tough, especially in the food industry, to survive. And the 2 big issues that Jared faced last week are, first, he got a wrong count from his bakery on the number of bagels they had available. And of course, my review video kind of caused a spike in the order volume, and he got a wrong number. The number was a lot higher than reality, and as a result, he wasn't able to ship out the bagels. And I think that hit him really hard because it really is a bummer to underdeliver, especially when it's not your fault. He also discovered that there was something wrong taste-wise in one of the recent batches of pizza crusts that they put out. So now he's trying to track that down. He's refunding pizza crust orders for people that have problems with their pizza crust order. It's just not easy being a small business. And I think about a number of the different brands that I've worked with, that I've done reviews for, that I've promoted. Well, it's not so much a promotion because I'm not getting paid to do it. It's just I'm doing it because I like these people, I like their companies, I like what they're doing. I feel that they're in the keto and low carb space for the right reasons. And probably half of them, since I started this channel, have gone out of business. It's just a really, really hard thing to do. So whenever you're watching some of these reviews, understand that a lot of them are small companies, like 1 and 2 people, a husband and a wife. And it's not easy for them. And I know sometimes people see the prices and they think, wow, these guys are getting rich. They're not. These little companies are not getting rich. They're doing the best they can, and sometimes there's external factors that act upon their business and make it harder for them. So if any of you have placed an Unbelievable Buns order recently, especially for the bagels, and haven't gotten it yet and you're feeling a little bit frustrated, hopefully now you understand why. All right, it is time to talk about my medical procedures from last week, and I will not be going into the too much information territory here. I will save that. There will be some serious information in next week's podcast when I talk about the cystoscopy. But on Tuesday, I had my wart treated again on my index finger, and I sure hope this is the last one. We did the laser this time, which involved getting the shot with lidocaine, everything I had predicted in my video last week. The lidocaine, incredibly painful. I did not enjoy that at all. And they pumped a lot into me. I mean, my finger, I'm not going to show you the blood blister on the other side right now, but it was pretty bulbous. It was pretty swollen up, I think, from the quantity of lidocaine they injected into me. So the good part is I didn't feel anything from the laser. All I was hearing was like the click, 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 click. So that's good. But also, while I was there, I mentioned to the dermatologist, I said, hey, I got this sore type thing on my calf. It's on the outside of my right calf, and it just hasn't been healing. It's been there for months. And it's not really like a scab. It feels thicker than a scab. I don't know what it is. Can you take a look? So I got some more lidocaine injected there so that they could slice some of that off and send that in for a biopsy. We'll find out about that probably in another week or so. But the end result is I had a lot of lidocaine injected into me. And I got home, and probably within about a half hour from being home, started getting a headache. And I don't get headaches. I mean, it's rare that I get a headache, and I started getting a headache. And then I started feeling just sort of icky, kind of nauseous, and not dizzy, but just out of sorts. Kind of like what I recall a hangover feeling like, but not quite as extreme. But still, I felt pretty crummy. And I went out onto Google and looked up side effects for lidocaine, and sure enough, these are side effects: headaches, nausea, dizziness, everything like that. So Tuesday, I was out of commission. Plus, still, it's very tough. I can't really do anything with my index finger right now because it hurts a lot from that blood blister. So it makes just dexterity, like working on a recipe or something, anything where I'm trying to manipulate something, this finger is out of commission. But then came Wednesday, and this was the cystoscopy. Like I said, I'm not going to get into a lot of detail on that for this video, but if you think about the sounds or words or noises that you don't want to hear a doctor make, number one is oops, unless of course they're back standing by the sink washing their hands. When they're in your body, you do not want to hear that. Unfortunately, I didn't hear that, but I did hear a couple of noises, some sort of semi-verbal type things, like that. And I'm watching. I didn't want to watch, but they kind of had the monitor positioned as the camera was up in me. And all of a sudden I see this thing that looks like a nugget of gold or something like that inside of me. And the doctor explained that that was a bladder stone and that they were going to have to try and remove that. And if they weren't successful removing that with this claw type thing that also went up into me, that they were going to have to take me right over to surgery. And it was kind of interesting watching, because it was like watching the claw game. It's like the thing going in and trying to grab it and pull it and, get it out of me. And it's it was big. I mean, it was about the size of a raisin and jagged, and apparently it had formed on one of the pins from the Urolift, the surgery, the prostate surgery that I had had few years ago. Anyhow, like I said, I'll save the details. I mean, some of you are like, okay, that was already more than I needed to know. But I can't imagine what it would have been like attempting to pass that. It's one of those things where I'm glad that we had the procedure. Yes, it was really unpleasant, and it stayed unpleasant for a few days. It's still a little unpleasant today, but it's getting better. But I cannot imagine what it would have been like trying to pass a bladder stone. I believe I've heard it's the most painful experience there is, and I'm glad that I didn't have to go through that. On the bright side, though, I am recovering. I'm feeling a lot better, and one of the things that happens whenever I have these sort of forced breaks from recording. Sometimes I have breaks from recording just because I can't come up with something. I can't get a video to work the way I want, or a recipe to work the way I want, or some other technical issue or something like that. But when I have a break like this, where I really, really want to be recording and I can't, it is in a way a good thing, because I tend to bounce back a lot more energized than I was before. And that's how I'm feeling right now. So this week, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting another 2 videos out. Hopefully getting back onto sort of a 3 video per week schedule. And as we get into November, I'm going to talk to you about a couple little tweaks I'm going to make to the channel. Positive, I believe. Just things, I think, to keep it fun and interesting and more varied for all of us. So now, let's end this on one of those Q&A things where I'll share an experience and then I'll ask you about it. This one is not related to food, but rather, what is a saying that you had wrong for a long time? You thought you had it right, but then eventually you found out you were saying it wrong all this time. Maybe, well, for me, it was liar, liar, pants on fire. For the I don't know how many, I think probably into adulthood, I thought it was liar, liar, pacifier. And I don't know if one is more appropriate than the other, but I know the real one is liar, liar, pants on fire. So I'd be curious to know from any or all of you if you have some sort of saying that you have been getting wrong for years and at some point found out what the real saying was. Let me know down in the comments below. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, I want to thank all of you that tune in, that spend a little bit of time with me on any given day, listening to me, watching me. I want to thank those of you who are channel members that help support the channel, and those of you who have made PayPal donations to help support the channel through the Serious Keto website. You guys keep the lights on, and all of you, just by tuning in and being part of the Serious community, you mean the world to me. You give me the emotional boost to keep on going. So thank you all, and thanks for watching.